Hey, I got something to say. Woo-hoo! I cannot believe it. Patti Talbot is in the house. She is freaking awesome. She has her own show that, oh my God, she brings in so many crazy, awesome people. She is brought on, and it's always about them and their journey. And I've been dying to say to her, please come on the show and spread your joy. I was just bragging about you.
I'm here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, Patti, this is going to be a blast. But before we get into all your amazing stuff, I'm going to tell them a little bit about you. Is that okay with you?
Sure, please.
All right. Patty's in the house. Woo! I'm just so excited. All right. Dr. Patti Talbot is a one of many certified women's empowerment coach, speaker, which is where we met, woo, show host, and change educator who helps women generate or regenerate the energy they need to change the world on their own terms. As a public educator working across the spectrum from pre-K through graduate school for more than 35 years, Patti has been a part of the growth journey for people of all ages and stages of life. Her current work helps late career professional women refocus their talents so they can create the changes they want to see in the world. They will someday, not yet, just let's make that clear, leave to the next generation. Patti, I'm so happy you were willing to do this.
Thank you so much for having me, Sandy. Every opportunity to be with you is sheer joy.
Yay! Yay! All right. Well, we got a lot of questions here for you. But before we dive into that, let's get into this statement. Your one positive statement that we're going to build off of. You don't have to be a certain kind of person to be a change maker. You just have to let the world know what you stand for. Okay, why did you pick that one, Patti? I mean, there's a lot to be said in that.
Yeah, well, because you're one of the change makers I was fortunate to feature on my show.
Yeah.
And I often find when I'm reaching out to women who are doing amazing work, amazing things in the world, that they'll go at first, oh no, I'm not a change maker. I'm just doing this little thing over here. I'm just doing that little thing over there. When they are change makers, the very definition of change makers, people who are showing up to make a difference in the world. But people don't want to claim that identity a lot of times because they mix up the word change maker with the word hero, or they think you have to lead a movement to be a change maker. And so I'm on kind of a mission to teach people that being a change maker is really about showing what matters to you and
Yeah.
doing something around that thing that matters to you.
I am so freaking glad you're doing that for so many reasons. And the biggest thing that I hear all the time, it's a little bit different, and maybe, you can answer some of these questions, is the block a lot of people get who want to make a positive difference in the world.
Yeah.
Especially as they get older, and I always have fake names to quote Sally Bell and her friends, they get caught up in the fact if they don't have a huge social media following,
Right.
that they're not really making a difference and they're not a change maker. So they would love your words of wisdom, because every time they think, and I understand it, they'll be talking to younger people. They'll say, first thing they say, well, how many followers do you have? What sites are you on? How many times you're getting hit, blah, 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 blah. And they start thinking, oh my God, well then maybe I'm not really making a difference. So I'd love for you to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a woman that I interviewed just this week that'll be on my show in a couple of weeks, and she spoke to this point so beautifully. about, and I'll think of her name in a minute because it was just a conversation I had on Monday, but you know how it is. I talk to a lot of wonderful people doing wonderful things, but she was talking about when you change someone's world, you change the world, right? And I thought that was
I love it.
yeah, so powerful because change making, I mean, social media is a wonderful way to get the word out about what matters to you, but it's not the only way. And being a change maker really doesn't have anything at all to do with social media. It has to do with showing the world in your way what matters to you, doing something for a person or a group of people or more people. I often say it's either start a movement or join a movement, but that can be a movement of one. That can be a movement to make something better for your neighbor down the street. That can be a movement to make something better in your community. Or it can be a message that needs to go out wider to the whole wide world to help it catch fire in a bigger way. But, you know, the definition I love of change makers is one that comes out of the University of Northampton in the United Kingdom that says a change maker is someone who sees a social or environmental problem and has the skills and the grit to do something about it. And it doesn't say how big it has to be. It's just, you know, you see something, you do something. And I think we need to give ourselves credit for what happens with that ripple effect. You know, when we do throw something into the pond that makes a positive difference, it can grow. So, yeah.
Patti, why do we, I'm not saying men don't do this, but I feel like, I'm sure you see this too, so many of us, me included, we underestimate what we're doing in the world. You know, we don't see, like it's like you said, well, I'm only doing this, I'm only doing that.
Yes.
Like that's not enough. Why do we do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a little bit of imposter syndrome stuff that it's not unique to women at all, but we often will let that imposter syndrome sometimes stop us because who am I to do something big? You know, who do I think I am to say I'm
exactly.
a maker? You know, what kind of, because I think we've lived in a culture of diminishing ourselves to let other people shine. And there's, you know, it's certainly nice to stand behind other people and let other people shine. But, you know, I was raised with this idea of you're not, you keep your light under a bushel, then, you know, you're actually taking something out of the world that you were put on earth to do. So, you know, I just think it's so important for us to let our lights shine in our own special ways.
Wait a minute. Tell me that bushel thing again. I've never heard it.
I don't know. I think it's something in the Bible or something that it's something about don't put your light under a bushel. And I think of it like a bushel basket. I don't really know what it means, but that was the saying. You know, you got to let your light shine. And you know the little song, this little light of mine, I got to let it shine. That's across cultures. I think there's that version of it. And I think it's so important. And the other thing I hear from people all the time is I can't be a change maker because I got problems of my own, right? Like I'm not qualified. I'm not qualified to be a change maker because I got junk. I've got junk, things I've screwed up, things I'm not doing well. I can't even save my own, this person or that person or myself. Who do I think I am? But really what I'm finding when I'm talking to change makers in the world that really are doing important things, they're motivated by those struggles that we have at home. You know, it might be a problem with addiction that makes us get into advocacy work. It might be something that's happened to someone we love or someone or ourselves that make, you know, an illness or, you know, a inequity or something that makes us say, this is not okay. And because it happened to me or someone I love, I happen to have personal experience with this, that the world needs to hear this story. And I need to be the one to write the letters or to show up or to make a difference in some way. So I just think those personal experiences often are the nuggets, the beginnings of where change makers are born, you know, at that place of discomfort.
Oh my God, there's so many ways I want to unpack this because it was like the light bulb went off in my head for so many things you said, even in my own life and my clients' life. I see it all the time where you feel I couldn't help this person in my own family. If I can't help this person in my own family, how can I help others? Yet they end up making such a huge impact because they couldn't help that person. And even just because it's your family doesn't mean they have to be ready for it. They have to want it. There's so many different circumstances. But you're right. I hear all the time that it's inspiring on them more because they couldn't save or help or guide somebody that was really, really close to them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, you know, we think of it, has a mark on our credibility or something if we weren't able to fix something at home. What is our credibility for making a bigger difference? But I think our credibility is our lived experience, right? You know, we really know what this feels like. We know what the hurdles are. If it's something in the healthcare system and you have personally experienced someone not listening to the needs of your loved one, you know, when I start thinking about my own journey, I think about the things that have impacted my life: addiction, working with older people, you know, having injuries, working in the healthcare system, working in the school systems, working with mental health things, all those things that I've personally seen or experienced or had to overcome with someone, or seen a block to their getting the help they needed. That just motivates me more and gives credibility when I contact my congressman or start a food drive in my neighborhood, or whatever I'm called to do comes from something I've seen or something I've lived or something someone I care about has seen or lived.
Oh my goodness, that's so true. It's so true, Patty. I wish you were with me a week ago when I was trying to explain that, and it came out like wah wah wah.
I can relate.
When it didn't come out as eloquently, I'm like, I'm gonna bring you back on. It was just like, that's what it is. Yeah. All right, so let's back up there a little bit, because you were in, it said from pre-K, I mean, to graduate. I mean, that's a huge area.
Yep.
So that's what you did for many years of your life?
Yes. Well, I was an elementary teacher and principal and a guidance counselor, all at the elementary level. So during those guidance counselor and principals years, I had the preschoolers as well as kindergarten, first, second, third, all the way up. I was, like that. And then I was, I did some internships in secondary education, that kind of thing. And I worked at the school board office, where I was a part of, the big team administrator for the whole school district. So in that sense, I got all the ages and their parents to work with. That was a great privilege of mine. And then I went to the university, where I was able to work in educational leadership and teacher preparation. So I was able to work with undergraduates and graduate students who wanted to work in schools, a work that I loved and treasured for many years. Yeah.
Okay, and now what? Where did the leap come?
Well, it's kind of a long story. I won't tell you the whole story.
I'm
You won't want to hear
it. We're here to listen.
Well, it had to do with the fact that I got a big interest in my research at the university in global education, and how do we become more culturally competent so we can work across cultures to solve these big global issues that we have in common. And so I was on a research sabbatical. And I had a fall. I had an injury. I broke my shoulder and my knee. And so I was suddenly placed into this, one of those moments when something happens to you and you go, oh, my life is shaken up. It was not life-threatening in any way. But I had that moment of, oh, I'm exhausted and I need to focus on myself a little bit. And I realized I was doing a meditation during my convalescence, and I had this sudden realize that, oh, I've had 36 years in public education. I can retire. I hate that word, retire, but I can take my retirement and decide what's next. And I knew when I retired, I wasn't finished. I just don't even relate to that word retirement, but I certainly related to freedom and that opportunity. I love public education. I believe it really is the great equalizer. I also believed that it was killing me at this stage of my life, and I needed the flexibility. So I stepped out and started pondering, what's next for Patti? How can I use what I love and have worked at my whole life and do it on my own terms? That's the name of my show, On Your Own Terms.
Yeah. So it's a big difference. I mean, it's not, because you're always in education, but now your main thing is you really love, you're so good at it. You really love highlighting these change makers and finding people, that don't think of themselves that way and really pulling it out of them. It's not only that, what I see, you're not only inspiring others, but you're also inspiring that speaker that you bring on.
I like to think, it's a joyful work to talk to women like you and so many that I've had the privilege of talking with. And it's just, well, for one thing, it really does keep me feeling positive and optimistic and useful when there's so much going on in the world that's not so positive. And, I try to be an active consumer of the news, but I can't stand but so much of that. I need to surround myself with positive people doing good things that really are making a difference. So I need it for me. And I really feel like it's women really do hold each other up, and that kind of cross-cultural and cross-pollination, even though I only focus women on the show, they're just, I think we hold each other up and inspire one another to keep going. And it just brings me great joy to be able to have these conversations with you and so many others, and share the messages with the world and help people see. Because one of the things I do, as you saw in my blog, is I always connect the work to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, because this is one of the things people that don't even know about the Sustainable Development Goals are still working on them. And so one of my goals is to show people how they are, in fact, making a difference in this big global impact, because they're working on this set of 17 goals that the United Nations has adopted for all of us around the world to work on and hopefully attain by the year 2030. So that's getting closer all the time. So we need to know they exist, number one, and we need to know how to work on them. And all the women I talk to are somehow engaged with those goals, whether they knew it before we talked or not.
Yes. I always admired people that can stay focused in the course for long-term massive goals like that. Like when you're like, we're getting closer and it's 2030, I'm thinking, but you're so excited and vibrant about it. And every day I can see it on your face. It lights you up. So how do you do that when something is so far out there?
Well, it really is for me. I do it by surrounding myself with other people that are doing it better than I am, because I'm inspired by that. It makes me believe when I see that, what people are doing, like what you're doing in the area of health and wellness, and, that is so critical, because, we can't change the world if we cannot function ourselves, right? So, whatever it is, people that are working on education, people that are working on poverty, people that are working on justice and peace, and good businesses that help to feed their families, and, all the things there. And I really do believe if we just start, just is not a good word, but if we keep the eye on the ball and the focus on what people are doing, so we get more people involved and feeling hopeful. As one of my little sayings is, I think change makers are born at the intersection of outrage and optimism. We have to be mad enough to do something, right? And hopeful enough to believe that what we're doing can really make a difference. And if we lose either side of that, hope hope by itself is just Pollyanna, pie in the sky kind of thinking, and naive. But outrage is not getting us anywhere, is it? We see that constantly.
Yeah.
But we have to have enough of a feeling about something that we will say, I'm not okay with this. I gotta do my bit. I gotta do my part.
Yeah, you get that burning desire, like, I can't take it anymore. So now, how am I going to make a positive impact? All right, they want to know, and because I get this on my email, and I know this is going to be difficult, but maybe you could just talk about one of your change makers that most people don't know. They want to know, does anyone stick out about something somebody was doing that we wouldn't think of that you interviewed?
Oh my gosh.
That
is a hard
question. It was something like, somebody would never have thought of that, and this person's doing that. You don't even have to name them.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you right off what pops into my mind is someone that also is our colleague that we in our speaker training, Jen Mott. You know Jen, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes. And Jen is an educator who uses her special talents to juggle and stilt walking and fire breathe and all these wild skills that she developed in the circus, which was a part-time job she did to get herself through school. And she now uses those incredible skills as a way of connecting with people, across diverse groups, because people are drawn to her because it's fascinating to watch somebody juggle and breathe fire and all those magical things that she does. But what comes with it is her special message, about honoring the individual. And I won't do it justice to try to say all the wonderful things that she does, but she comes to mind. And also what comes to mind is the people that I've had to almost arm wrestle to get on my show. Who've said things like, I'm not a change maker. No, I don't want to do that. And I have just, like, I don't know I certainly can call her name because she was on my show, is Jenny House, is a friend that I met in the United Kingdom doing my coach training. And she was on my show just a few weeks ago. She's a nurse educator and now a coach for nurses. And she was one that I teased her because she was so hard to agree to come to my show. But I knew she was a change maker because in these big training meetings we were in, she was across the room from me. I had not even had a conversation with her, but throughout the week she raised her hand and she would say, can we get these materials electronically so that we don't have to print all this paper all the time? Or I'm telling you, I'm not a mom and all this language about mother is not sitting well with me. How can we be more inclusive with our language? So you see, she was in that room asking questions. And I think that's one of the most important things we do as change makers is find a way, not a harsh and outraged way, but a way to ask the question that needs to be asked, to say, are we including everyone? Who else needs to be at the table? What are we missing in terms of our possible environmental impact in these little day-to-day decisions? And so anyway, I had a wonderful conversation with her. And I mean, there's just dozens and dozens of amazing people. So I hope people will check out the blog and the recordings of those shows.
They will.
Get inspired by change makers. And check out Sandy Joy Weston's episode from this fall. It was so much fun. I loved it.
All right. Oh my God, you're so cool. All right. So talk to us about what your definition of, you say, soft power. The path to world change lies in our capacity for soft power. What does that mean to you?
So, I'll tell you, I adopted that term from Dr. Joanna Martin, who's the founder of One of Many. That is this organization that I did my coach training with. And because a lot of her work is around thinking about a different paradigm than our more masculine way of thinking in the world, right? And so much of the paradigm, certainly in the West and probably elsewhere too, is very competitive, individualistic, and power is defined almost as power over other people. And so I'm thinking of that as hard power. There is hard power in the world. And right now, the only usefulness I can think of for that hard power is on the playing field. You know, we all like a good sports competition. That's all fine. Bring out that testosterone then. But that's not so much what the world really needs. The world needs more of, you know, the feminine energy that we bring to things. And, you know, this is not male and female. Men and women have both the yin and the yang. And so we need to lean into that softer side that is more about collaboration and supporting each other and connecting and including all voices instead of competing who's first, who's best, who's whatever, because that hasn't gotten us anywhere. I mean, we look around us, you know, the problems that we can name, and everybody can name them just like that. Lots and lots of problems. If you track them back, a whole lot of them came from, you know, of course, the need for survival at the beginning, but then over time, we kept on using this survival mode as a way of existing when it was no longer necessary. And what is so much more needed is a way to relate to each other, human to human, across difference, sit down around the problems and figure out how to look at it from different points of view, because we don't have the same experience, but welcome all that experience to the table so we can untangle this mess. And you know, I believe it's a soft power solution to where a hard power has gotten us.
Yeah, no, I love that. I was thinking a couple weeks ago, I was invited to one of these nonprofit board meetings, and I usually don't do things like this. And when I left, they were like, wow, you were so insightful. You added so much. And I swear to you, Patti, I said 3 words. What I did is I held space to listen to all these different viewpoints. I didn't come in already with an objective of this is how I feel about this. Like, because they were already coming in the room. This is how she's done. This is how she's done. This is how she's done. And all I was doing is offering space for the people. And so then afterwards, my girlfriend said, why did they come up to you? You said 3 words.
Yeah.
I just listened.
Yes. The most important soft power skill of all, right? Is right here. Less this, more this.
And not even that. I didn't come in already thinking I was right, which I think is a part of soft power, like being open to all these. Yeah, I never thought of that. I love that word, soft power. I'm gonna write that down.
I didn't invent it, but
no, I love it though, because it doesn't mean you're not powerful.
Right.
You know?
That's right.
It's like
I think of it. I'm sorry to interrupt. I think
of
it as power with, and power through, as opposed to power over. It's sort of the way I define it. Yeah.
It reminds me, and I don't know if it was Mother Teresa or somebody said something, and it resonated. I'm not good with quoting people, but it was about, I don't want to go to an anti-war rally, but any day I'll go to the peace rally.
Yes.
And that's always been me.
Yes.
And that is what I'm thinking here. That's resonating with me as soft power.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. It's what do you stand for?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Loving it. All right. Patti, they want to know.
Okay.
This is a big one. Is there ever been a time where someone that reached out to you and wanted to be on your show that you felt, I don't know, let's quote it, their intentions were pure? Or do you always attract the right person?
Well, I'm fortunate so far, and I guess I'm relatively new at this, you know, and I've been playing with it for 3 or 4 years, but really solid with my regular show about a year. And so far, the people who've reached out to me have been very genuine. You know, we have a conversation. And because of the way I run my show, I have a very specific formula that's intended to bring out the changemaker story of a person. So have I had to massage a few stories? Yeah. But not to make them anything but true
Yeah,
and
yeah,
pure, but to be on, I always think I'm working to be on brand for the guest,
yeah,
and of course
yeah,
on
yeah.
brand for positive change making in the world. And so, sometimes there are a
I
couple of
like that. I like that
yeah.
I've had to massage it. Okay, I like that.
Yeah. Not
All
very
right.
often, though.
Yeah,
Not very often.
yeah, yeah. I would think you would attract the right person. Okay, they want to know, how has it changed your life by doing this show?
Oh, well, for one thing, I used to do it just myself and kind of put it out through outlets, but I got involved with this organization called Win-Win Women. That's a worldwide network of shows that are broadcast around the clock. And so one thing that network has done for my work I was already doing is given me not just a platform, but a structure to which I am accountable. So the fact that I'm
Oh,
producing a show every week at a certain time makes sure that I am more on the ball than I used to be. But beyond that, it really is just about me feeling more and more inspired and more potential that we have as humanity.
yeah.
Because I've interviewed people in all kinds of professions, in all kinds of roles, all levels of education. I'm trying to get more and more international guests on my show as well, so that people can see people that they relate to that are showing up and doing change-making work. But it just feeds my soul, honestly. It
Yeah.
makes me feel hopeful, and I like to think that when I'm hopeful, it can be a little contagious out of me too, because I just won't shut up about it.
That's 100% true, Patty. 100%.
Yeah.
I loved having you on, and I'm so happy that I could be on your show, you could be on my show. I love when women are supporting women, like you said, lifting them up.
Yes.
It, to me, is just such a great privilege and an honor.
Yes.
I was
Thank
so pumped you were coming on. I was like,
Oh,
yay!
thank you. I felt the same way, Sandy. Any opportunity to be around you and soak up your joy is just feeds me too. So thank you for that.
Ditto. All right, before we go, tell hey, I got something to say, people, all the ways they can find you and your show.
Oh, sure. Well, my show is on the winwinwomen.tv network. It's called On Your Own Terms, and it is Fridays at noon Eastern time. But it also, goes up there. It goes up on YouTube. It goes on Apple TV and Roku and Amazon Fire. It goes all these places, and it's also an audio podcast version. There, it's called the Blue Roads Changemaker Framework.
Right?
My website, my business is Blue Roads Education, so you can just look up blueroadseducation.org and follow me on all the stuff on Facebook, Instagram, what I miss, LinkedIn, Pinterest,
You're everywhere.
all those things. And it's Patti, P-A-T-T-I, Talbot, T-A-L-B-O-T, or Blue Roads Education. And I welcome people to reach out if they have a change-making story they'd like a place to share. I'm looking for women that are changing the world on their own terms.
Yay! By the way, did you notice I wore this for you? The blue.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, blue. And I'm not wearing blue. I should have worn blue. What was I thinking?
I don't know. I just thought I had to do it.
I love it. Thank you so much, Sandy.
All right, hey, I got something to say, people. Do not worry if you missed the beginning of the show. When we're done, I'm going to record the show and then put it up on all the different platforms for you to share with your friends, which Patty and I would deeply appreciate, and anyone that you think it would really inspire. Until next time, you know what I'm going to say. Thanks, Patty, and toodles.
Thanks so much.